The diner has a nostalgic feeling to it. Kind of wants me to remember all of my childhood memories all of a sudden. As I shake my head to avoid bringing up memories, I notice the diner still has some weird variation of a lo-fi beat playing from somewhere. When I look around for a source, I find a speaker in the top corner of the diner. Isn't the worst music I've ever heard, but it could be better. While I'm distracted by the music, a man's voice suddenly speaks out. You Faith Castle? Who could it be? I turned around to the counter where the voice came from. A man, I guess in his late 20s, is drawing a plate behind the counter. He's dressed in a beige-colored uniform. Yeah? The man nods and turns around. Sweetie, your friend is here. Coming, says Sweetie. Some rustling is coming from the kitchen, and after a while, a woman, similar in age, comes out to the counter. Yet another person. Oh, this is Jude. Hey, Jude. What voice do I want to give you? I don't even know if I want to give you a voice. Oh my god, there's so many girls in this mod. Hello, Faith. How was your day? Jude, or Lieutenant Ellis if you want to call her that, is asking me this with a big smile as she comes around the corner to greet me. It has been fine the past few days. I'm glad to hear it. What would you like? Coffee? Some juice? Maybe even some food? I quickly look away as I allow myself to think. Jude now technically has a reason to want to get rid of me because of the records. That's fucking dumb. Why would she? I look back at Jude with a reassured smile. Juice would be nice. Jude nods as she goes back around the corner. What flavor? Doesn't matter. As Jude is looking for juice to offer me, I decide to sit down and wait. Zoom in on that table. Jude then comes back with an orange juice in one hand and a leather handbag in the other. She places my glass of juice in front of me and then sits on the other side of the table. Thanks. Jude smiles as she nods. A short silence spreads as we avoid looking at each other. I end up encouraging myself with a sigh to bring up the topic we're here for. You've got the files for me? Jude's smile falls as she looks at the handbag. Yeah, I did. She digs in her handbag for a bit before she stops. You'll promise me one. This never leaves the diner. She raises her eyebrows in surprise. Yeah, that. I'm not that stupid to spread this around. I just wanted to make sure. Jude then continues to dig in her handbag before taking out two files. While one is extremely thin, the other looks like a fucking novel. The thinner one has Sayori's picture on the front, while the thicker one has Monica's. What the fuck? That's everybody's reaction to this, to be honest. I look at Jude with a "Are you fucking kidding me" face as I reach for Sayori's file and open it. After searching through it, the only thing interesting is that she moved with her parents to the U.S. at the age of 5 from Japan. Moving on to Monica's folder, I open it up to discover more files, each having a different face and name attached to it. One even had a company logo and name on it. What are those for? I point to the files and raise my eyebrows. Jude closes her eyes and sighs, still probably contemplating if she's going to tell me. When I called her, she wasn't exactly happy either. She discouraged me several times before agreeing to fish out the files. Those are victims of murders and kidnappings Monica was a suspect in. My eyes froze wide as I look at the files and back at Jude. What? I'm not looking to be joking, am I? Silence grows as I look at the files in horror. Why wasn't Monica convicted? I then search the files of the victims. They're all different ages, ethnicity, race. Nothing is consistent. Except for one. Not enough evidence to determine the killer. For what? For what the fuck? It takes me a few seconds to process the information I've just received. I then turn to the file with the company logo on it. What happened in here? Allegations of money laundering, which ended up being true. Monica wasn't personally a suspect, but she was convicted of tampering with evidence about a year ago. Convicted? For how long? Usually, it would be up to 20 years. She only got a hefty fine due to other circumstances and was left scot-free. I'm pretty sure those other circumstances were also the reason media weren't talking about it. My breath is taken away as I'll lean with my back against the chair. Honestly, what did you expect from this shithole of a city? And more importantly, why did you decide to even move here? I look away as I pick up my glass of juice. I wanted to get closer to my brother, just like we used to. I sip from my juice as I'm trying to think everything over. I need to get more information. No, you will not! Jude points her index finger at me as she interrupts. You got what you wanted and what you need to know. Don't make my job more complicated than it already is. Then why did you decide to show me this in the first place? She looks at me for a few seconds as she retracts her index finger. Should I be honest? I would appreciate that. I thought you would stop pestering me for more information. Uncomfortable silence spreads as she Jude sighs. Just don't, all right, for our own safety. Did she just expand on a line that wasn't hers? I don't respond as I look into the side and sip from my juice. This was a mistake. I don't respond to that as well as Jude starts to collect the files, put them in her bag, and walks out to the counter. How curious indeed. Silence settles as Tina puffs from her cigarette, and I sip from my brown whiskey. Morning is still rising to start a new day, while cars are passing by and neighbors start working. Tina smiles to herself as she looks down. Rex, huh? You got a solution for that? Looking away, I sip from my drink. Thought so. Tina puffs for the last time before throwing a cigarette butt onto the street. Litter. The small ashes spread as the butt hits the ground. That's a bit rude, don't you think? I guess the early waking up just doesn't make me care. And why don't you think of the poor African children? Now you're just being offensive for the sake of it. Maybe. As nobody says anything for a while, I look up around me. The gentle wind corrodes with Tina's hair. Corrodes? While the clouds are revealing the morning summer sun. As I sip the remains of my drink, I'm turning around to enter the house again. Hey. I stop and turn to Tina again. Yeah? Can you be here for a while? You can stay here for a while? Sure. I come back to the railing while putting my empty glass on the ground for the time being. Want to hear a funny story? Yeah? It was probably 4 years ago, I think. I was living with my mom at the time. Mom was the one cooking in the family, but she was always encouraging me to also cook something. And so one day I decided to cook. Mom was eager to help out when she found out, but I refused her help. What I decided on was a steak, together with some traditional pasta. So I set up everything, water for pasta, pan, and spice for steak. So far it was going well. And the next minute, I got the fucking oil on fire, water boiling over the pot, which I then slipped over. I laugh out loud, imagining the scene as Tina giggles, a little red in the face. I probably forgot to mention I'm a horrible cook, did I? I'm trying to calm down as I get a question from myself. And did. Did you put out the fire? Yeah, Mom did with a fire extinguisher. Still didn't convince her to stop pestering me about cooking. That's why you're only cooking scrambled eggs? You can say that I have a phobia for complicated cooking. The positive energy is still within us as we enjoy the birds singing around their morning songs. Suddenly, Tina speaks out again, this time much more solemn. You know, when I first thought about having feelings toward you, I looked surprised at Tina, turning towards her. It wasn't when I caught you staring at me. That was afterward. It was a few days after we meet on the roof. Should have been met, but I said meet. I still kind of feel guilty over my behavior back there, but I did what I had to do. Anyway, on that day, I had to deal with a few people and then went home. I still remember it was daylight when I returned. What about Monica and Talia? Both of them were doing their own thing. Monica was planning something over a map, while Talia was getting angry over soda tax. Talia? Who the heck is Talia? How much? Enough to annoy me. Well, for context, I was still in the period of lying to myself, and that also affected how I thought about you. It didn't stop me from finding out the truth eventually. Silence again spreads, a bit more awkward than usual between us. Finally home. I smiled to myself and thought that I'll be able to just get in bed and forget about the rest of the day. I puffed my cigarette I've started along the way as I dived deep into my pocket and take a look at what I was looking for the entire afternoon. A golden watch with a little chain, just like businessmen would have in the 19th century in their pockets. I frown upon the watch as I place it back into my pocket and instead take out a ring of keys. It takes me only a second to pick the home key, unlock the door, and head inside, cigarette still in hand. Closing the door behind, I take my shoes off as I look around. I'm home! No response, as usual. I shrug as I go further into the house. When I arrive into the kitchen, my expectations are met when I see Monica hunched over a map of the city. I go to her to see that she has highlighted several places and streets I faintly recognize. One street is the street where a very familiar place called Cafe Memoria is highlighted in red. On the top of the map is in modern text written, "The map of the city of Izendor." On the top of the map is in modern text. On the top of the map is written in modern text. I don't know how you want to phrase that. I don't know why the text font is so important. "What's your plan in there?" Monica looks up from inspecting the map and frowns. "We already talked about this, Tina. Were you listening or what?" "Of course I was. Chill out. I was just asking." Monica then returns her attention to the map once again. I puff my cigarette. Monica is probably too interested in whatever bullshit she highlighted to notice it. I take out the gold watch and lightly throw it at the map. "I got what you wanted." Monica stops inspecting the map and takes the watch to her hands. "Seems fine. How much trouble did it give you?" "Some smartass thought it was fake and threw it in the trash can." "Then what took you so long?" "That smartass forgot where he threw it out, so I had to check every goddamn trash can in the school building." "Oh." As Monica inspects the watch further, another person comes into the kitchen. "Oh, this is Talia. It's Femc, the other Femc, the switcheroo. And yet another female that I don't have a voice for." "I can't fucking believe it!" Talia comes in, her eyebrows frowning. She stops herself when she sees me. She seems surprised. "You didn't hear I entered, or what?" "Yeah, probably. Sorry about my outburst." "What were you angry about, anyway?" "City officials thought it would be a good idea to make up more taxes, so they taxed sodas." "Heh, you were drinking a lot of it, so it's probably healthier for you." "Says the one who smokes indoors." When Monica overhears Talia's response, she looks at my hand, frowning. "Plus, it's not healthy for my wallet. I mean, why take more money from me so they can buy a new jet?" "I don't disagree with you there, but can you calm down? You're blowing my ears off yelling here." "Yeah, fuck yourself, too!" Talia then sighs and goes to the fridge, looking in it. After a bit of silence, Monica speaks out again. "We agreed on not smoking indoors, Tina." "Else what?" "Or else I'm kicking you off the house. Out of the house, probably." Monica scolds me with her look and narrowing her eyes. "Oh, boo-hoo. Are you concerned over having smell here?" "Actually, yes. Outside." "Fine. Whatever. You do you." Monica scolds me one more time as I turn my back to the kitchen and go outside. Closing the door behind me, I take another puff as I lean against the nearby slope, holding the entrance roof. As the cigarette tobacco burns, my mind comes back to the exchange with Malone on the roof. Why did he come back? Is he that stubborn or what? But he was eager to help me. Why? He did mention that one of his friends has depression, and that he doesn't want to repeat the same mistakes with me. That does seem like a good enough reason. And to be honest, when we did work together, he seemed like a really nice guy. Maybe... No, that's bullshit. Why would we both have that kind of feeling for each other? That kind of feelings is what it says there. I sigh as I drop his cigarette butt on the ground, kill the fire, and come back into the house. There, I head for the kitchen, still interested in a map, Monica. Can you for a bit?" "What is it, Tina?" "You have mentioned your literature club at one point. Do you have a member there with depression?" Monica is weirded out by my question as she places her hand on her hip. "Why do you ask?" "I need to verify something. Can you give me a hand? Or can you give a hand?" "Talk to Sayori." I smirk as I tap Monica's shoulder. "Thanks." Monica is still looking at me weird as I leave the kitchen with a smile. Let's see. We're back to the present. I gotta admit, the jumping around is a little bit confusing sometimes, but it's okay. And I look at myself in the mirror again. My vision slides to my green wave of hair. Okay, yeah, we're still Tina. I reach for it with my fingers and touch it for a while. Man, when was the first time I dyed my hair? 2, 3 years ago? I smile to myself as I stop the water falling into the sink and leave the bathroom. As I arrive into the kitchen, I spot Faith sitting in a chair, writing into her laptop. "What is that scene about?" Faith looks up from her work, straight into my eyes. When she recognizes me, she sighs and looks back at her computer. "The main character finding out about a murder that is important to the story." "Heh, we have a lot of practice in that." Wait, practice? What the heck? "Heh, we have a lot of experience in that, huh?" Faith doesn't respond. I just shrug the topic off and go to the fridge. I take out a box of juice and pour myself a glass. Then a question pops into my head. "Malone is where?" "Still hasn't come out since breakfast, which is weird considering it's almost noon." I sip from my glass of juice as I think. I'll go get him, and then we'll go somewhere to eat. Faith looks up at me, a noticeable fear in her eyes. Why go somewhere? Too terrible with my cooking. We'll probably get just fast food and get here ASAP. After hearing fast food, Faith shifts in her chair, but doesn't object anymore and continues writing. I place my glass on the counter and go to the bedroom. As I come to the door, my step slows down as I hear something from there. It's a guitar. It doesn't sound like it's coming from any kind of speaker. Malone never told me about having a guitar. Where did he get it? I decide to slowly open the door, as opposed to gently. And as clear as daylight, Malone is playing on a guitar right before his desk. With eyes focused on his left hand, chords are coming from the base of the guitar. The guitar is made out of wood and has a few scratches here and there, but overall is in good shape. Malone still didn't register someone else in the room, or someone else is in the room. I used that opportunity to silently enter the room and walk to bed. I'm still keeping my eyes on his fingers as I'm sitting down. His delicate fingers on his left are switching between the strings as his right fingers are bringing them to motion. It's almost mesmerizing. After a while of listening, my vision abandons Malone's fingers, but instead closes its eyes. What? Okay. As I'm tapping with my foot in rhythm, tapping, tupies and tapping, I was still subconsciously wonder where Malone got the guitar. Does it matter? Probably not. I guess you noticed. What? As I open my eyes again, I notice that Malone has stopped playing and is looking at me. There's a short silence as I'm trying to process that I've kind of invaded his music playing privacy. Did you enjoy it? After a while of confusion, I smile as Malone receives a nod. Malone then takes a look at the guitar and sighs as he slides his palm across it. I forgot I have it. It has been buried under that mess of a closet for 2 years. Oh, I see what's happening. The tear only appears whenever he's in a focus position. I don't know what you want to do about that exactly. Actually, while we're focused on Malone here in this particular sprite, if you want to use that casual MC sprite I made available to the community, you are more than welcome to. I pretty much made it to replace this shirt because it doesn't really match the style and it's just so janky. I mean, look at this. If you want that sprite, you are more than welcome to take it. Please do. I forgot I had it. It has been buried under that mess of a closet for 2 years. He points with his head to the closet in our bedroom. And that was perfectly fine when you took it out? No, I had to tune it. Otherwise, it still works. Somehow. Malone then places the guitar leaning against the bed. Just as I wanted to open my mouth again to say something, the bell rings throughout the whole house. Who could that be? I think I can see... Or you think I can see through walls? No, but I think it would be awesome to see through things. Yeah, and also awesome to look through clothes. Don't worry, I would only look at you, T. We both explode into laughter as we leave the bedroom. By the way, we're gonna probably get fast food as lunch. What exactly? I don't know, McDonald's, KFC, doesn't matter.